cold, ironic line that sets the stage. The Galactic Council logged it as a clerical error. Humans logged it as history's last mistake. The Galactic Council logged it as a clerical error. Humans logged it as history's last mistake. The declaration scrolled across 1,000 alien broadcasts like an afterthought, buried between shipping tariffs and agricultural reports. In the Council's Grand Archive, it was a single line. Classification revision, Sol 3, relegated to salvage category. A bureaucratic shrug. A planetary obituary. Inside the marble halls of the Council, the mood was dismissive. Delegates from 50 species leaned across curved desks, their voices rising in smug chorus. The humans were always loud but primitive, hissed the insectivorate, mandibles clattering in amusement. A salvage world fits them. The reptilian Threx general gave a sharp laugh. His scales glittered under the chamber lights. Yes. They make good entertainers. Unpredictable, but hardly strategic. Several species chuckled. Even the usually stoic archivery scribes, whose faces never shifted, allowed themselves a ripple of dry amusement. At the far end of the chamber, one human sat quietly. Ambassador Elias Kane was not tall, not imposing. He wore a neat dark suit, tie slightly loosened, as though he had just left an Earth conference room rather than entered the heart of galactic power. A steaming mug of black coffee sat in front of him. He had been smiling the entire session. When the laughter peaked, he cleared his throat. "Excuse me," Kane said, his tone smooth, almost apologetic. "Did I hear correctly? Earth has been placed on salvage lists?" The chamber rustled. Some ignored him, others smirked. "Yes, Ambassador Kane," said Vriate. "A simple oversight. Your records of military strength were exaggerated, perhaps. Earth no longer meets strategic thresholds." "An oversight," Kane repeated. He swirled the coffee in his mug, took a sip, and smiled faintly. "Well, you know what we say back home, oversight often precedes downfall. Usually of the person who overlooked something important." A few delegates blinked, processing. The words sounded polite, almost humorous, but the undertone was sharp. The Threx general leaned forward, voice dripping mockery. "Do you mean to threaten the Council? With what, Ambassador? Your ocean vessels? Your gunpowder toys?" Kane chuckled. "Oh, not at all, General. I don't threaten. It's poor diplomacy. I'm simply pointing out that sometimes the smallest errors change entire games. A baseball swing a degree off, and the ball goes into the stands instead of the glove. Oversight." The Threx did not know baseball, but the ease in Kane's voice unsettled him. The chair of the Council, a crystalline being whose body refracted light, chimed in. "Ambassador, do not misunderstand. This is administrative. It does not imply hostility toward your species." Kane leaned back, appearing relaxed. "I appreciate the clarification. Humans are rather sensitive about being written off. We tend to overreact when told we don't matter." That earned a ripple of laughter from several delegates. The human had wit, at least. But not everyone laughed. From the opposite end, a wizened elder of the Aleph species raised her creaking voice. Her kind had fought humanity once, centuries ago, and the scars still ran across their history. "Do not dismiss them so quickly," she warned. The humans smile. "But they are not harmless." The chamber quieted for a moment, then the laughter resumed louder, washing over her words. Kane didn't interrupt. He simply adjusted his tie, sipping again from his coffee. His eyes, however, gleamed, sharp, cold, and calculating, for the briefest instant before returning to polite warmth. Later, in the Council lounge, several alien envoys gathered around Kane. One, a feathered learned diplomat, flared his wings playfully. "Ambassador, surely you can't be upset by such a small thing. Salvage status simply means, well, your world is open to assistance. Colonization, reclamation. We will make something useful of your planet." Kane offered a genial smile. "How kind. We Americans call that volunteering someone else's house for remodeling. Usually the homeowner gets upset when strangers knock down the walls. The learn tilted his head. But Earth is defenseless. We inspected your fleets. Antiquated. Slow. Chaotic. Yes, Kane said softly. Very chaotic. The aliens chuckled at what they thought was self-deprecation. Only the Aleth Elder, sitting silently nearby, caught the steel in his words. Her tendrils twitched uneasily. Words spread quickly through galactic channels. Salvage rights for Sol were being auctioned already. Mining corporations drew up maps. The Threx military prepared a peacekeeping garrison for orbit. To the Council, it was settled, Earth had been written off. But Earth had heard every word. The next session opened with commotion. Reports of unusual resistance from human patrols trickled in. Nothing decisive, just irritating. A mining scout had been forced to retreat after being locked onto by ancient orbital cannons that should not have still functioned. Old toys, scoffed V8. They delay nothing. Ambassador Kane sipped his coffee. Funny thing about toys, Counselor. In the right hands, even a slingshot ruins an empire's day. The Threx general slammed his scaled fist on the table. Enough riddles! Humanity has no power here. Kane gave him a long, measured look, as though deciding how much truth to peel back. His smile remained, but his voice dropped just slightly. You know, General, in poker, the worst mistake isn't losing with bad cards. It's assuming the quiet man across the table has nothing. The chamber fell silent. The crystalline chair shifted nervously. Ambassador, is Earth implying hidden strength? Kane shrugged. Implying? No. Merely reminding. History shows we don't like being underestimated. The Aleth Elder's tendrils coiled tight. She whispered, almost too low to hear. They are baiting us. But the laughter returned again, louder, covering the warning. Kane only sipped his coffee, eyes half closed in thought. That night, outside the council chamber, an alien reporter cornered him. Ambassador Kane, humanity has been classified as salvage. What is your response? Kane paused, looked directly into the lens, and smiled, the kind of warm smile meant for family dinners, utterly at odds with the razor edge in his eyes. Our response? He took a slow sip of coffee, set the mug down gently. Oversights can be corrected. Sometimes permanently. The broadcast went live across dozens of systems. Most laughed at the strange human bravado. But some, the older races, did not laugh. They remembered. They had seen that smile before. The salvage fleets arrived first. Sleek alien vessels ringed Earth's orbit, their silver hulls gleaming like surgical instruments. They came expecting surrender papers, not resistance. To them, Earth was a resource depot waiting to be catalogued. At the Council's satellite chamber, Ambassador Elias Kane was all hospitality. He stood at the entrance with the ease of a host welcoming neighbors to a barbecue, though his smile carried an edge. Gentlemen, ladies, beings of indeterminate anatomy, he greeted as a dozen alien envoys filed in. Welcome back to Sol. Lovely neighborhood. A little smoggy in the mornings, but the sunsets are unbeatable. The feathered learned envoy fluffed his wings. Your tone suggests levity, Ambassador. Do you not realize fleets have surrounded your world? Kane poured himself another mug of coffee. Of course. Lovely view from my office window. Reminds me of rush hour traffic in Los Angeles. Everyone circling, nobody actually moving forward. The delegates hissed, chittered, or shifted in irritation. The Threx general, now in full military regalia, jabbed a claw toward Kane. Do not insult us with your insolence. This occupation will proceed peacefully, or your people will suffer. Kane regarded him with mock thoughtfulness, as though considering which creamer went best in his coffee. General, you say peacefully while pointing claws. Back home, we call that mixed messaging. Like telling someone you're here to fix the plumbing while holding a chainsaw. The chamber rippled with uneasy laughter. The general did not join. Alien confidence. Reports kept streaming into the chamber. Alien scouts documented Earth's defenses, satellites, A handful of orbital cannons, several outdated destroyers. To alien eyes, it was a museum display, rusting hardware, barely functional. The insected V8 clicked in satisfaction. See? They cling to relics. Resistance will crumble in hours. Perhaps we should begin discussing allocation of their oceans. My hive requires water. Don't drink it all at once, Kane said lightly. Some of us are attached to our beaches. The archivery scribe tilted its glassy head. Ambassador, surely you understand resistance is futile. Humanity has been outpaced. Kane tapped the table with one finger, smiling. Funny thing about pacing. The tortoise tends to win more races than people expect. The Aleth elder stirred. Her milky eyes focused on him. Why do you smile, human? Your fleets are dust. Your numbers pale. What is hidden behind your jokes? Kane met her gaze for a heartbeat. Elder, if I told you everything, well, it would ruin the surprise. The first skirmish. The meeting was interrupted by a transmission. A mining corporation's vessel had approached Luna, expecting to plant territorial beacons. Instead, it was fired upon. The chamber buzzed. What weaponry? Demanded the Threx general. The report returned. A corvette, human design, had ambushed them. The alien vessel's engines were shredded in precise volleys. V8 scoffed. An accident. They must have gotten lucky. The broadcast replay showed otherwise. The human ship had moved with uncanny precision, exploiting blind angles, striking faster than its specs should have allowed. Not luck, calculated hunting. Kane sipped his coffee without comment. The Lern envoy bristled. Explain this, Ambassador. Kane set the mug down gently. Oh, that? Probably a training exercise. Sometimes our cadets overachieve. His calmness unsettled them more than defiance would have. Subtle cracks. Alien confidence wavered. More reports surfaced. Patrols disappearing in asteroid belts. Supply barges rerouted by false signals. Entire squadrons misled into minefields that should not have existed. The archivery scribes whispered in confusion. How do they manipulate navigation systems this old? Their technology cannot outmatch ours. Kane smiled faintly. Technology's one thing. Ingenuity is another. You'd be amazed how much trouble duct tape and stubbornness can cause. The Threx general snarled, tail lashing. Enough riddles! This insolence will be crushed. We will glass your planet within a cycle. Kane tilted his head. His voice stayed polite, measured. General, Earth has survived threats bigger than you with nothing but grit and sarcasm. You may find we're not as flammable as you hope. The poker table. That evening, in a quieter lounge, Kane joined several alien envoys for what they thought was casual bonding. A deck of human playing cards was spread across the table. Kane shuffled lazily. Poker. Simple game. Best part is you don't need the best cards, just the best timing. The feathered Lern flared his wings, eager to mock. A game of chance? Fitting. Your people cling to chance against inevitability. Kane dealt. His grin never faltered. Oh, but see, most players focus on the cards. The real trick is reading the room. Bluff too early, you're caught. Bluff too late, wasted effort. But the right bluff? You don't just win the hand, you make everyone else fold before the game even starts. The Aleth elder, watching silently, shivered. Kane placed his cards face down. We're patient players, counselors. Never mistake a smile for surrender. The room grew quiet. Escalation. By dawn, panic simmered across alien fleets. More skirmishes erupted. Human ships, few but perfectly positioned, struck with surgical precision. Outdated? Yes. But their tactics turned every weakness into a weapon. Alien admirals scrambled to explain. They shouldn't be capable of this. Their numbers are insignificant. One report chilled the council. A convoy had been surrounded by what appeared to be ghost signatures, hundreds of human vessels flickering in and out of scanners. They don't have that many ships, the Threx general roared. The archivery whispered. Perhaps, They want us to believe they do. Kane's calm. Through it all, Kane remained unshaken. He arrived at the chamber the next morning, fresh suit, mug in hand. Morning, everyone. Sleep well? I hear orbital bombardment alarms are terrible for rest. The delegates erupted. You deceive us. Your fleets are shadows. Explain these ambushes. Kane raised one palm as though soothing unruly children. Counselors, please. Earth is nothing special, remember? Harmless. Primitive. That was the consensus, wasn't it? The irony was razor sharp. The Aleph elder spoke at last, her voice low, breaking through the uproar. This was no oversight. It was bait. The room froze. Kane looked at her, eyes twinkling just enough to confirm the suspicion without words. Then he smiled, broad and harmless again. Shall we continue our game? The council chamber was no longer a place of smug laughter. Hollow screens flashed with alerts, each one carrying reports of fleets cut to ribbons and patrols vanishing without trace. The Threx general's scales dulled to a sickly gray as he shouted over the din. Impossible! They should not be able to coordinate on this scale. The archivery scribes, usually monotone, whispered to one another with frantic urgency. Too precise, too calculated. As if they had rehearsed these moves. In the middle of the storm sat Elias Kane, perfectly calm. His coffee steamed beside him, untouched, while chaos spread through the chamber. When the shouting finally lulled, he leaned forward, his voice even. Counselors, I hate to point out the obvious, but this. He gestured toward the flickering reports. Looks less like an oversight and more like consequences. The room erupted again. You deceived us. You hid your arsenals. This violates every treaty. Kane raised his hand as those soothing kindergartners after recess. Now. Let's not use words like violated. We prefer terms like flexible interpretation. You know, the kind that keeps lawyers busy for centuries. Even now, a few nervous laughs escaped from delegates who couldn't tell if the human was serious. Shadows in the dark. The next broadcast silenced everyone. An alien fleet, nearly 50 ships strong, had been annihilated near the Kuiper Belt. Not crippled. Not repelled. Annihilated. The feed showed human vessels emerging from asteroid shadows like predators from tall grass, cutting through the formation before disappearing again. Alien scanners showed twice as many signatures as ships actually existed. Phantom fleets. Ghost armadas. The Threx general's claws gouged the desk. You're using illusions? Kane finally sipped his coffee. Funny thing, General. In poker, perception is half the game. Make someone think you've got the winning hand, and they fold before the reveal. The Aleph elder's voice broke the silence. These are not illusions. They've been planning this. Hiding strength. Preparing for centuries. Kane inclined his head politely. Finally, someone paying attention. The unmasking. For the first time, Kane's charm slipped. His tone sharpened, still polite but cutting with precision. You saw Earth as salvage. You thought oversight erased our history, our defenses, our will. But while you laughed, we built. While you dismissed us, we prepared. We are not a forgotten species. We are predators who learn patience. His eyes locked on the Threx general. And you walked willingly into the snare. The chamber chilled. Delegates shifted uncomfortably, their arrogance melting into unease. The armada revealed. Suddenly, the hollow screens filled with new signatures. Not dozens, not hundreds, thousands. Ships decloaking across the system. Angular, black-hulled leviathans bristling with weaponry the galaxy hadn't seen in ages. The archivery scribes gasped in mechanical harmony. Impossible. These designs predate the Council itself. They should not exist. Kane's smile returned, smaller this time, sharper. We called them insurance policies. For moments just like this. The Learn Envoy stammered, feathers trembling. Why you hid an entire armada? How? Easy, Kane said. We put them where no one bothers to look, under their noses. In our junkyards. beneath rust and camouflage. You dismissed them as relics, and we let you. He leaned back, folding his hands. Never underestimate the utility of being underestimated. Fear in the chamber. The Aleth elder whispered. Retribution, it was always coming. Panic rippled through the chamber. Some delegates argued for immediate withdrawal. Others demanded retaliation before humanity gained more ground. The Threx general, though trembling, tried to hold face. Even with hidden fleets, you cannot face the combined council. Kane tilted his head. His words came softly, almost kindly. General, humanity doesn't fight wars the way you do. You send armadas to crush resistance. We don't. We look for the crack, the overlooked detail, the oversight. He tapped the table. And we drive the knife in so deep, you bleed out before realizing you've been cut. The war erupts. On the outer rim, the human armada struck. Alien broadcasts streamed into the chamber live. Colossal cruisers tearing through council ships, swarms of smaller corvettes weaving patterns that disoriented enemy scanners. Every move looked less like combat and more like choreography, dances of destruction honed over decades of secret drills. Council admirals barked desperate orders. Regroup! Cut off their flanks! But human tactics bent the battle sideways. They didn't fight for position, they fought to disrupt rhythm, to break the council's script. In one feed, a lone human destroyer drifted, appearing disabled. 3 alien cruisers closed in. Then, with surgical precision, the destroyer ignited hidden thrusters, spinning into position and unleashing a barrage that tore all 3 apart. Delegates in the chamber recoiled as the feed cut to static. Kane's calm. Through it all, Kane never raised his voice. He sat with his coffee, watching chaos unfold like a man observing a storm he had predicted. Finally, he spoke, voice soft but carrying across the chamber. You thought the oversight was yours. But it wasn't. We leaked the records. We baited you. We wanted you to come. The revelation hit like a thunderclap. The archivery scribes stuttered in disbelief. You engineered this? Kane nodded once. Galactic oversight. A simple clerical error, broadcast across every channel. Tempting enough to draw vultures. The Learn envoy hissed. You risked your planet. Kane's smile sharpened. We don't risk. We calculate. And we never bluff without teeth behind it. Darkness behind the smile. The chamber fell into stunned silence. Kane finally set his coffee aside. His voice, stripped of humor now, carried a weight that chilled even the boldest. You should have remembered history. Empires fall not because they are conquered, but because they convince themselves their enemies can't touch them. You made that mistake. And now you'll live long enough to regret it. The Threx general roared, slamming his fist. You cannot destroy us all! Kane leaned forward, his eyes like ice. Destroy? No. That would be merciful. We prefer correction. We'll dismantle you piece by piece, until every star system whispers what the Council forgot. Never underestimate Earth. Closing note of dread. As the chamber dissolved into shouting, Kane rose smoothly, adjusted his tie, and walked toward the exit. He paused at the door, turning just enough for his words to reach every ear. Counselors, I'll leave you to your debates. But do keep in mind. He smiled again, warm, almost friendly. This is only the first inning. The door sealed shut behind him. The chamber sat in silence, the echo of his words heavier than any bombardment. Outside, in the void, humanity's armada advanced. The war room aboard Resolute Dawn was silent, save for the rhythmic hum of the ship's reactors. Maps of the contested systems floated in holographic display, flickering with shifting colors as fleets repositioned. At the center stood Admiral Kalen, his jaw set like stone. Around him, aides and captains watched the lines converge toward one inevitable conclusion: humanity's counterstrike. Kalen spoke at last, his voice calm but laced with iron. They still underestimate us. Good. That arrogance is the opening we've been waiting for. A murmur rippled across the chamber. Commander Vera, an alien ally from the Serity Union, raised her narrow, scaled hand. Admiral, the coalition believes Earth is broken. If you show your hand now, they will throw every fleet they command to crush you. Kalen turned to her, expression unreadable. They already have. What you see here, he gestured toward the hologram, is their maximum strength. What they don't know is that Earth was never as weak as they imagined. The aides exchanged glances. Only a handful truly understood what he meant. Hidden projects, sealed vaults, weapons buried so deep they were dismissed as rumor, those were about to be unleashed. Far beyond the command deck, in the black corridors of deep space, humanity's forgotten armadas began to wake. Engines rumbled after centuries of silence. Ancient warships, cloaked within hollowed moons and disguised as derelicts, stirred to life. 1,000 silent guardians, once mothballed when peace seemed eternal, now aligned their course toward vengeance. One such vessel, the Iron Tempest, shook off its layers of asteroid dust as its reactors flared. Its AI core, older than most modern civilizations, spoke in a deep mechanical timbre. Directive confirmed. Earth requires retribution. Systems online. Weapons locked. Back aboard the Resolute Dawn, the Council of Captains debated. They'll call it slaughter, one officer muttered, eyes flicking across casualty projections. They started this war, Kalen replied sharply. What happens next? They brought it upon themselves. We gave them warnings. We gave them mercy. They answered with fire on our cities. His words hung heavy. No one could deny them. Humanity had endured the Coalition's first strike, their bombardment of Earth's surface, their desecration of monuments and archives. What the Coalition thought was conquest had instead been a miscalculation so grave it bordered on suicide. Commander Vera leaned closer. Admiral, you intend to awaken all of them, don't you? Kalen didn't flinch. Every fleet. Every weapon we swore we'd never use again. If they wanted humanity buried, then let the galaxy watch what rises from the grave. News of the awakening spread quickly. Within days, alien intelligence networks intercepted fragments, ghost fleets activating, forgotten arsenals opening, encrypted signals spanning dead sectors. Panic erupted across the Coalition's worlds. Ministers argued in high towers, military councils shouted over each other, and spies scrambled to confirm the impossible. On the Veraxi homeworld, one senator whispered what many feared. They made a mistake, she said, voice trembling. The kind you don't come back from. The humans are not rebuilding, they are hunting. The first strike came without warning. In the desolar rift, a coalition armada of 50 warships patrolled confidently, laughing at the rumors of phantom human fleets. Laughter turned to screams as the void itself tore open. Out of cloaking fields slipped the Iron Tempest and its siblings, their hulls bristling with weapons unseen for millennia. Coalition sensors registered too late. A wave of kinetic lances cut through their lines, snapping cruisers in half. Plasma storms swallowed frigates whole. Commanders barked orders, but chaos spread faster than discipline. Within minutes, the entire fleet disintegrated under precision fire. Survivors drifted in shattered pods, staring at the abyss that had devoured them. The galaxy received its first undeniable message: humanity was awake. In the aftermath, Kalen convened his staff again. The hologram of the rift burned red, signifying the Coalition's loss. This is only the beginning, he said. Admiral, Vera said cautiously, you know what this means. They will retaliate with desperation. Desperate enemies are dangerous. Kalen's eyes glinted with something darker than resolve, something the galaxy had forgotten humans carried. So are we. On a remote moon in the Ilian expanse, a coalition governor received reports of vanished fleets. His advisors debated whether to fortify, flee, or plead. But before a decision could be made, the sky lit with fire. Human warforms, orbital bombardment drones shaped like blades, descended, carving through defenses with surgical precision. Not a single civilian was harmed, yet every military structure was reduced to slag. A message echoed across the planet's networks. This is repayment. Do not mistake our restraint for weakness again. The governor collapsed into his chair, pale and speechless. The message was not just for him, it was for all who had thought humanity broken. Meanwhile, in the coalition's grand capital Angers Prime, fear not at leaders who once mocked the Terrans. Their fleets were powerful, their resources vast, but their unity was crumbling. Each species began questioning whether the war had been worth provoking. Whispers spread of breaking away, of suing for peace before the storm consumed them. But pride blinded the ruling council. They declared humanity's actions terrorism, and vowed annihilation. Their proclamation reached Earth within hours. Kalen read the transcript, lips curling into something between amusement and contempt. Terrorism? He repeated. They erase our history, slaughter our people, and call us the criminals? He leaned forward on the table, voice low. Then let them see what criminals are capable of. The stage was set. Humanity no longer fought for survival, it fought to teach the galaxy the price of arrogance. Every fleet that stirred from its long sleep carried not just weapons, but memory, the burning of Earth's cities, the cries of the fallen, the silence of graves disturbed too soon. Kalen stood at the viewing deck as the resolute dawn aligned with its escorts. Stars stretched before him, endless and indifferent. Yet tonight they bore witness to something the galaxy had forgotten: humanity was not prey. A comms officer approached. Admiral, the armadas are in position. They await your signal. Kalen exhaled slowly, then spoke the words that would echo across centuries. Release the chains. And with that, the fleets surged forward, a storm of iron and fire cutting paths through the stars, carrying with them the retribution of a species the galaxy had tried, and failed, to bury.